Right. Hello and welcome back to Small Screen Stories. This is the show where I go over all the news of the day in the world of entertainment and pop culture. My name is Edward Lauder. I'm the editor of Small Screen, and there is so much to go through today. So let's just get cracking and get right into it with the very first story of the day, which is that the MCU's Wolverine movie will be PG rated, PG-13 rated in the United States, not R rated. So this story comes from Geekosity, and they are a site that they have a lot of these sorts of scoops. And one of today's big scoops was that this upcoming MCU Wolverine movie is going to be R rated, not going to be R rated, going to be PG-13. Now, this is interesting because Wolverine is one of those characters that we know pretty well from. He's a pretty big name in the Marvel Comics universe, and he was made very, very, very popular by Hugh Jackman. And Hugh Jackman's last movie, which is Logan, was incredibly popular, especially with me. It's my favorite comic book movie of all time, but it was also R-rated. And one of the reasons why people seem to be very impressed by the film was because it was the fact that it was R-rated meant that the film could just kind of push the boundaries more than any other comic book movie. And we saw similar things happen with the Deadpool franchise. The Deadpool movies were really, really intense. They were very gory, full of swear words, full of kind of very rude jokes. It was an adult movie to the point that it can be a comic book movie can be just geared for adults, not 13-year-olds, let's say, which is kind of it's slightly new in the comic book universe, in the comic book movie universe, and it's something that a lot of people are a bit worried about, especially now that we know that the franchises like Deadpool, like the X-Men movies, they weren't R-rated, but X-Men incorporates Wolverine, so like the Wolverine standalone movies, they were all R-rated. Logan was R-rated and the two Deadpool movies were R-rated, and they were allowed to do that thanks to, in part, thanks to Fox just going ahead and going, you know what, go ahead and and make these movies R-rated. And it looks like, Disney they don't tend to make R-rated movies, and Marvel Studios hasn't made an R-rated movie as of yet. So it's something they just don't seem to do. So a lot of people are talking about what they're going to do, and one of the ways that they can get around that is possibly by making a kind of a sub brand like below Marvel that makes these R-rated movies, which is going to be interesting since we've got the likes of Blade coming out, which is going to potentially be an R-rated movie because this is a very violent franchise. And you've also got the Wolverine films and the Deadpool movies, so maybe they'll make another kind of almost like Touchstone Pictures studio just for these R-rated films. But it's something that I think people are going to have to really look at in the future, especially over at Marvel and Disney, how they make these movies. And one of the ways that they're going to do it is actually by making them PG-13, which is a shame because you do lose quite a lot, I think, making a film like Wolverine or like Deadpool PG-13, because part of the reason why people love them so much is because they're able to push the boundaries. So according to Geekosity, this Wolverine film in the MCU isn't going to be R-rated, it's going to be PG-13. But what do you guys think about that? Let me know in the comments below. Right, so moving on. And the next story of the day has to do with Miles Morales, and it's actually another Geekosity scoop. And they've revealed that Marvel is actually going to be working on Spider-Man, the Tom Holland Spider-Man, Peter Parker Spider-Man, and the Miles Morales Spider-Man films. They're going to be working with Sony Pictures, of course, but they're going to be making the films at kind of the same time. And they're going to be you're going to have a Spider-Verse. The Miles Morales films are very, very much going to start with the Spider-Verse film, and that's going to then come into Miles Morales Spider-Man movies and Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, and they're going to kind of be split. And it's going to be a bit of a weird kind of time for especially moviegoers, because we're going to have two versions of the same character, basically. I mean, he's not the same character. Miles Morales is a very different character to Peter Parker, but Spider-Man, two Spider-Man movies or two Spider-Man franchises at the same time. And that's going to be slightly odd, but it looks like they're coming up with a naming system that's going to mean that these that they're going to be very distinct. which is one way to go. It's one way to make sure that that people aren't too confused by this whole thing. And apparently that's going to happen. But what do you guys think? Are you guys excited to see Miles Morales come to the MCU? It's something that I've been looking forward to for a very, very long time. And the popularity of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse shows that people really do love this character. So let me know in the comments below if you're excited for this. Right, moving on. The next story has to do with Oscar Isaac. And again, it's another Geekosity scoop. There's a lot of Geekosity stuff today. They've been scooping quite a lot recently. But according to them, Oscar Isaac's Moon Knight is actually going to be turning up in an Avengers movie. This is apparently stipulated in his contract that he's just signed. So it was revealed yesterday that... sorry about that Oscar Isaac had signed on to play the part in a Disney Plus Marvel series, which is massive news. It's huge news. Brilliant casting. I love the guy. I think he's a fantastic actor. And now we're going to get to see Moon Knight appear in an MCU movie, probably in the Avengers. Now, as I see the Avengers moving forward, it's going to be really interesting to see how they go and where they take it, because we know that Iron Man's not going to be part of it. We know that Captain America is not going to be part of it. We know that Vision's gone now. So it's going to be a very different team. So it looks like they might be relying actually on their Disney Plus characters, Marvel characters, like Moon Knight, possibly like She-Hulk, maybe Ms. Marvel come in there. And it might mix it up a bit, which is actually something that we really need as far as the Avengers are concerned. Because those movies were brilliant, but we really came to an end of an era with Avengers Endgame. So now it's time for something new. And that's possibly something with Doctor Strange at the helm, maybe. With Spider-Man, with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and then other characters coming in, possibly even Miles Morales' character coming in. I think that would be really interesting. And then having Oscar Isaac's Moon Knight in there would also give some real kind of... Oscar Isaac's a fantastic actor, so it would give the franchise some kind of oomph as far as actors are concerned. And maybe, because a lot of the other characters will be played by, by actors that aren't as what's the word, as... experienced, let's say, as Oscar Isaac. He's been around for a while. He's been in a lot of franchises. He's been in a lot of franchises, including the X-Men franchise where he played Apocalypse. But he's been in the Star Wars franchise as well. He's an actor that knows what's what, and he knows that he wants to be part of this franchise. And it's a brilliant franchise to be part of. But what do you guys think? Are you guys excited for the Moon Knight series? Are you excited to see Oscar Isaac play Moon Knight and see him in the Avengers, in an Avengers movie? Let me know in the comments below. Right, moving on. The next story is actually a small screen exclusive, and this is really exciting. I've been sitting on this for a couple of days now, but yesterday I revealed that WarnerMedia and Zack Snyder are actually developing Justice League 2, and then it was also revealed to me today that Justice League 2 is going to feature this man. It's going to feature Ben Affleck as Batman. He's just signed on today. Sorry, not today. I don't know when it was. It was revealed to me yesterday, but they told me that he signed on to play Batman in Justice League 2. And he was, according to some of my sources that I actually didn't direct quote, but according to some of my sources, he was the man that WarnerMedia, HBO Max, and Zack Snyder really wanted to sign on, because apparently the story really is centered. He is a focal point in this next movie, which is to be expected. He is Batman, and he is Zack Snyder's Batman. And moving forward, this upcoming Justice League 2 series, it was revealed to me that actually WarnerMedia and HBO Max kind of sees it as their new Game of Thrones. It's going to be like event television, which is why they're keeping it as a kind of 4-part series. And I did ask whether they're going to be releasing them all at once or weekly. They didn't. I wasn't told whether they were, but I'll press them for that, and I'll see what they say. I'm trying to get as much information as I can about this, because it is really exciting. But no, as far as my sources are concerned, and I have direct quoted 2 of them that agreed to be direct quoted. I always try and do this because it's easier for me to write it up, and also it's just something I like to do. Really, it's something that it's quite nice to have a direct quote in there from a source. Again, if they say no, I don't put it up. I don't direct quote them. But the first person that came to me with this news said the deal has been signed. Ben Affleck is going to be returning as Batman in Zack Snyder's Justice League 2. Then another source added that Ben Affleck and WarnerMedia have agreed on a deal that will see him star as the Dark Knight in Justice League 2. So, one of them did also reveal that Gal Gadot, Henry Cavill, Ray Fisher, Jason Momoa, and Ezra Miller were also in talks, all to return. But nothing. There's been no word on whether they've signed or not. I I haven't heard anything from my sources about that. I will keep on. I will get back to them and try and see what's happening there. But I mean, at the moment, I think as far as WarnerMedia is concerned and HBO Max is concerned, Ben Affleck was the one they really wanted to get on board. I revealed yesterday that Zack Snyder and Chris Terrio are actually working on the script, which is fantastic news, and they're developing this and they're trying to get the ball rolling on this as quickly as possible, because this is actually, these DC comic properties, they're huge for HBO Max. They are huge for them. HBO Max at the moment, I think, is nearing 9 million subscribers, but it's only based in the US. And one of the ways they can get as many subscribers as possible is by making these sorts of shows, by making these movies and having them on HBO Max. Now, I know a lot of people will be like, well, is that really economically viable? Is that something that they can get a lot of money out of? Well, yes, because actually the way that they're looking at this is actually it's kind of like a dual release system. So they'll be releasing them on streaming to begin with, but then they'll release a cinematic version in cinemas afterwards. So they kind of get the best of both worlds. But also WarnerMedia is actually, as far as this is what I've been told by my sources. I had a long chat with one of them about this, but they see this as like this is a long game. To them, they're playing the long game. They're looking at subscribers, at steady monthly income from multiple sources. It's multiple revenue streams. It's like, so they could release one movie a year. They could release a big DC Comics movie a year, and they'll probably get $800 million from that. And that's one way they can go, and they can keep on doing that. But as we've seen, with Disney, when they started Disney Plus, it looks like their investors are really keen on Disney to really bolster their streaming offerings, which is something that HBO Max can do since they have these DC Comics properties. Of course, Disney's doing it with their Marvel properties, and now DC Comics is actually seeing that it's a place, especially with the coronavirus pandemic, they're going to have to think of other ways to make money. And it's actually, in the long run, it probably this I don't want to say something I might regret, but it's like the way this pandemic has kind of it's shown them that they need to think of other ways to release and release content. And they have a streaming platform. The problem is their streaming platform is actually at the moment only available in the US. So one of the main things they have to do is work out how they can get it out to as many different territories as possible, because there are a lot of people out there that aren't based in the US that would love access to this stuff. And we still actually don't know how they're going to release Zack Snyder's Justice League in areas outside of the US. There is talk, and it has been told to me that I have been told that they are looking to release the Zack Snyder cut actually in cinemas, but also working with people possibly like Sky or people like that, and maybe getting it out that way. But we won't know. I mean, we're not going to know. I have been asking, but I haven't heard any information about how they're going to do this. We're probably not going to know until next year, really. But now, as far as these movies are concerned, and Justice League 2 is concerned, it still will be on HBO Max, and it very much is an HBO Max thing. But they probably will end up releasing it as a movie in cinemas further down the line, so they can get the ticket. They can get the ticket sales and the extra subscriptions, which will come inevitably with this. But what do you guys think? Are you guys excited to hear that Ben Affleck is going to be playing Batman again? It really looks like Batfleck is back. And let me know in the comments below. Right, moving on. And we're going to move on to Zack Snyder. He's been doing a lot of teasing. And one of the things he teased today via Twitter was that he's actually now filming the additional photography and reshoots on Justice League. So he posted a tweet of a clapperboard with the Justice League logo on it. So we already know that the only actor that hasn't been confirmed to return for these reshoots is actually Henry Cavill. And one of the reasons why he probably hasn't been confirmed yet is because at the moment he's filming Justice League. which sorry, not Justice League, The Witcher season 2, which is taking up a heck of a lot of time, and it's to be expected. It's probably one of Netflix's biggest shows at the moment. So yeah, he's filming that at the moment. Whereas the rest, so Ben Affleck, Ray Fisher, Gal Gadot, Ezra Miller, I don't think has been confirmed. Maybe he has. Well, anyway, Jared Leto as well. Possibly Ryan Reynolds. More on that later. They're all back and they're all filming, and this is being filmed right now. They're getting going on this thing, and they're really going. They're really gonna. I mean, it's crazy how much money WarnerMedia have spent on this. They've spent reportedly $70 million already just on these kind of reshoots. So they've spent basically more money than they spent on making Joker, making Todd Phillips' Joker, which is a multi-Oscar nominated and award-winning movie. So it really seems as though they really believe in this property, and it's something that can be really lucrative for them financially moving forward. And also, a lot of people are very interested in seeing this Justice League. If it's successful, I think we're going to see probably as many Justice League movies as Zack Snyder wants to make. But what do you guys think of this? Are you looking forward to Zack Snyder's Justice League? Let me know in the comments below. Right. Moving on to HBO Max's Green Lantern series. According to the executive producer of the show, Mark Guggenheim, who was also the executive producer on the Arrowverse TV shows, the Green Lantern movie, which is coming to HBO Max, is going to look basically like a movie. So he was actually what he said was quite interesting. It was he was talking at Comic-Con International, and during this chat, he mentioned that actually it's not, the actual series isn't going to be like a movie. It's going to be like a TV show. It's just going to look like a movie, because if you were to make a TV show the same way you make a movie, it would end up being really boring. Imagine watching an 8-hour movie. Yeah, it's not the best way to make TV shows. So what he said is I happen to believe, and this is not a universally held opinion, that you can't do a 10-hour show or an 8-hour episode show like an 8-hour movie. I don't think that works. When I see it done, there's always some flabby episodes in the middle. I think you have to approach it like a TV series and approach each episode like its own entity. Even though it's streaming, even though hopefully people will binge it, you've got to make each episode a satisfying meal. And then he went on to say, you've got to look at it with a different tempo than you would have a 2-hour movie. That being said, certainly the show for HBO Max certainly the show for HBO Max that we're all working on, we are approaching it with the production ambitions of a movie. So we're writing it like a TV show, but we're hoping to produce it like a film. And that's something that, again, it's one of those things that I think he's right. I think you can't make a TV show, especially if it's 8 hours, like an 8-hour long movie. I know there are lots of people that talk about that, and but eventually you're just going to get bored by some episodes. You need to keep the kind of the excitement up, but you need to keep it interesting, and that's what he's talking about there. And I'm really excited to see this Green Lantern series. It's coming to HBO Max. It's another one of these HBO Max DC Comics properties that looks really interesting, and it's going to be coming relatively soon, I believe. But what do you think? Are you looking forward to this HBO Max Green Lantern series? Let me know in the comments below. Right, moving on to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, who is rumored to have a son in the new Marvel/Sony movies. So this comes from We Got This Covered. And again, take this with a pinch of salt probably, but We Got This Covered reporting that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, so his Peter Parker, is actually going to have a son in either the upcoming Spider-Man 3 or whether they're going to be in Spider-Man 4. We're going to have to wait and see. But yeah, and this is actually in the comics, and in the comics, the son that he's actually in multiple iterations of the comics. He has a kid with Mary Jane Watson, and but it looks like it might be Benji that they go with, who is actually quite key in one of the particular comic story arcs. I'm not overly familiar with that one. I'm going to be completely honest. Actually, I haven't really read as many Spider-Man comic books as some of the others. It's just one of those things I've never really got around to doing. But no, apparently he is one of the things that this iteration of Peter Parker in either Spider-Man 3 or Spider-Man 4 or Spider-Verse or whenever it happens, it hasn't been confirmed to me. I mean, as far as I'm aware, as far as my sources are concerned, it's going to be Spider-Man 4. But again, I won't go into that now. But yeah, he's going to have a kid, which is going to be really different. It's going to be probably a way to differentiate the characters from each other. He's a dad. The other two probably aren't. They're at different stages in their lives. So it's something that I'm personally really looking forward to, and it kind of goes in line with some of the rumors we've heard about Tobey Maguire wanting to spend more time out of the suit and wanting to kind of just act more in this movie. And it's something that I personally am really looking forward to seeing. What about you? Let me know in the comments below. Right, so moving on, we've got 3 more stories to go through today. This one is about Ryan Reynolds again, and it's being reported that Ryan Reynolds will reportedly carry on making jokes about Green Lantern in the Deadpool movies, even though they're in the MCU. So one of the funny things about watching Deadpool is the fact that he makes jokes about, he's meta, he's very meta. Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool, and Ryan Reynolds played Green Lantern. And if you remember back in the first movie, when before Wade Wilson, I think I got that right, became Deadpool, he made a joke about not having a CGI green suit, which of course is a little joke about Green Lantern. And then there was I'm kind of blanking on, there were a bunch of really funny post-credit scenes at the end of Deadpool 2, and I believe one of them had to do with Green Lantern, but I'm really blanking on that right now, and please, I apologize for that, but I believe he's reading the script to either Green Lantern or X-Men Wolverine. I can't remember which one it is, but it's those kind of jokes, about Ryan Reynolds, the actor, kind of. And apparently they're still going to go with it, even though these Deadpool movies are going to be made either within the MCU or at least by Marvel Studios. They're still going to be making these sorts of jokes, which I am really happy to hear, because that's one of the reasons why you love Deadpool. That's one of the reasons why you love Ryan Reynolds' iteration of Deadpool, because it's so meta and they're funny. These jokes are actually fun. They do make a lot of jokes in the Deadpool movies, and not a lot of them land, or not all of them land, let's say. Most of them do. But yeah, it looks like they're still going to be making these sorts of jokes moving forward. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. Right, so moving on to the penultimate story of the evening, and that's that Tom Holland has arrived on the Spider-Man 3 set and is ready to get to work. So this Tom Holland has been ridiculously busy over the past couple of months. He's been filming the Uncharted movie, and he's playing a young version of Nathan Drake in that movie, and then he then he went all the way over to Atlanta in a plane to start filming Spider-Man 3, and he's very much in demand at the moment. He's a terrific young actor, really massive talent. But he posted on his Instagram stories a video of him coming basically right outside of the plane. You can hear the engines of the plane in the background. And I got this via comicbook.com's Instagram account, not Tom Holland's Instagram account. But he said, we've just landed in Atlanta, and it's time for Spider-Man 3. Let's go. He sounded very excited. I'm very excited to see this film. Are you excited to see this movie? Let me know in the comments below. And the final story of the night, and this is actually kind of linked to the previous one, is that Tom Holland is already teasing what could be in Spider-Man 3's script. So if you know anything about Tom Holland, you know that he is prone to, he's one of the big serial leakers in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's the one that a lot of the scoops end up coming from, and he doesn't do it deliberately. He's just he's always very excited about first off being Spider-Man, and just wants to talk about it, and he ends up spoiling things by accident. But he again took to Instagram stories to show his many fans on Instagram that he's just received the script for Spider-Man 3. But he's learned his lesson, and he's not going to show anybody it, which is fine. I would have liked to have seen a title, I'm going to be honest. According to my sources, it's going to be Spider-Man Home Run, but I'm hearing a lot of people saying it's going to be Spider-Man Home World, which also makes sense. We're going to have to wait and see. But here's what he said. He said, hey, so I just got home, and I'm in Atlanta, and I've just been delivered a package. That package is an iPad. And on that iPad is a script, and that script is Spider-Man 3. So I'm going to find out... I'm about to find out what I'm going to be doing for the next 5 months. I'm not going to tell you anything about it because I've learnt my lesson, but I'm so excited. And then he proceeded to break the iPad. But no, he's someone that if you don't follow anyone on Instagram, follow Tom Holland because he's really funny. And also you'll probably get a scoop out of it because he probably will end up spoiling something. But yeah, he's now reading Spider-Man 3 script and he's excited, and I'm excited to see that movie. It's one of my most anticipated movies. It's being directed by John Watts. It's got, we've got Jamie Foxx coming back as Electro. We've got Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. The usual cast, the usual Spider-Man cast are also going to be involved. And there are rumors that Maguire and Garfield are going to be turning up as their versions of Spider-Man. But we're going to wait on that and see whether it's true or not. I don't know. But what do you guys think about this? Are you excited for Spider-Man 3? Let me know in the comments below. And with that, that is the show. That's everything. I've gone through all the news of the day in the world of entertainment and pop culture, specifically, I suppose, comic book related, but that's what the site is all about. If you're a fan of the site and want to follow us, you can follow us on all over on social media. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at SmallScreenGB. You can also please subscribe if you like this stuff on YouTube. And I release this later as a podcast, which is Small Screen Stories, and you can find that wherever you find your podcasts. I'm Edward Lauder, the editor of Small Screen. You can follow me on Twitter at EJ Lauder. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful evening or day or morning or whatever it is at the moment. And I'll see you back here tomorrow. Thank you very much, guys. Goodbye.